Okay, this is started now.
हाँ आ गया लिखा हुआ है webinar is now live streaming on YouTube हो गया.
So now I'll make you host again.
Okay.
Now.
हाँ आ गया लिखा हुआ है webinar is now live streaming on YouTube हो गया.
So now I'll make you host again.
Okay.
Now.
हाँ आ गया लिखा हुआ है webinar is now live streaming on YouTube हो गया.
So now I'll make you host again. Sharina, how to transfer you back? Which option I need to choose?
You just move on my name and there is more option. From more you can make me host.
So now I'll make you host again. Sharina, how to transfer you back? Which option? Yeah, this is done now.
You just move on my name and there is more option. Yes, yes, now I am hosting.
This is done now.
ये repeat क्यों रहा है? Why the things are repeating, getting repeat, Sharina?
Yeah, this is done now.
Guys,
Because that is from YouTube.
if everybody
Somebody
can
saying
be on if everybody can go on mute apart from the people who are talking, then this will be sorted.
आसिफ भाई म्यूट पे जाएं, सारे म्यूट पे जाएं.
I think now it's fine. I'm the host and the stream is already live stream on YouTube also. I think now it's fine.
Okay, I'm still here for 15-20 minutes if there's any issue.
Okay, okay, thank you.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सलमान अरशद भाई अस्सलाम वालेकुम. सलमान भाई आप रेड लाइट जोन में बैठे हुए हैं शायद.
जी सर, मैं कपड़े भी रेड पहने में.
अच्छा.
Just to keep morale high.
जी वो मुझे लग रहा है वो आप सब लाल आ रहे हैं ना इसलिए मैंने कहा.
जी बिल्कुल है. I will do something if it's okay. Obviously.
नहीं कोई मसला नहीं. It's okay, fine, fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah, no, let me fix it.
नहीं आप थोड़ा अपने चेंज कर लेंगे डायरेक्शन, वॉल पे आ जाएंगे व्हाइट वाली तो ज्यादा अच्छा सही रहेगा.
जी बिल्कुल मैं कर रहा हूँ सर.
Hi Doug, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, good morning. It's very, very wet and windy here in the west of England, so all that sunshine I can see is making me jealous.
We haven't had a chance to meet face to face, but I did meet others from ICAW. So inshallah, so sometime soon when the travel restriction eases up, we can catch up face to face.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be great, Arshad. Yeah, it'd be nice to catch up. I know we were meant to obviously a while back, but that's obviously hopefully something in 2021. Hey.
Inshallah.
Hi. Assalamu alaikum.
Yasir, this I think this Bahrain chapter people and then this Asif Riaz and Shafiqur Rahman. Still, I think they didn't connect.
Arshad is there. Arshad is from Bahrain.
No, sorry, I'm talking about Qatar. Qatar, from Qatar.
Asif Riaz. Shafiq did not connect. I don't know why. I'm trying to reach him. And then on the other hand, Asif Riaz said that he's got some other plans, so he might not be able to join for the call. He was trying to connect the other guy, the chairman, Faisal Bukhari, but then he is also not available, unfortunately. So
in case who's the chairman? Shahid.
Give the thank you note.
No problem. Shahid is not the chairman?
Faisal Bukhari. No, Shahid is not the chairman this time now.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Is Faisal has confirmed, or do you want me to reach out to him?
So are we good to go live?
Yes, I think we are.
Faisal said that he would not be available.
Okay, okay, that's fine then.
Okay, so you guys continue. I'll sign off. Over to you, Asif bhai. Best of luck.
Okay, thanks a lot. Arshad bhai, I think we should start now. It's 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. over here.
Yeah, sure.
Arshad bhai, to you for the introduction. Start.
Okay, thank you very much. I think if we are on air, thank you very much all the chapter chairmen and the members who have participated in that. Special thanks to Doug. Doug, we have been trying to coordinate and organize this session for a while. I think these have been done in individual chapters in past. I think Saudi did something, Bahrain has done something a couple of years ago. UAE chapter has also managed to sort of talk to ICAW about these events. And given that our coordination with ICAP and ICAW pathways is such a fantastic route for us to get into these membership of ICAW. And I know, having worked in the UK, we're working very closely with ICAW, trying to sort of narrow the gap as much possibly can. And I think the pathways looks very neat and clean and much easier route to get to a membership of ICAW. So I think without sort of stealing your thunder, you have much to say about it. We've got all the participants from different jurisdictions, so you have to keep in mind that the entire GCC is being covered here. But I think Asif, if not anything to be introduced with anybody else, we have got all the chapter members and some chairmen from other areas. Asif, should we start with Doug, or do you want to say a few words before we do that?
I also don't want to waste time, Doug's and other people like that. And then we will have comments and other things later on. And I would request Doug to please start the proceeding. To Doug, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to Arshad for that introduction, and Asif as well. Thank you, and to Yasser as well and to all the chapter heads for inviting me to come and talk and share a little bit about the pathways route to membership for ICAP members. And so, of course, I have a presentation to share with you. So if you just would bear with me a second while I get that going. Okay.
I think we'll have to get to that point where it will be a reciprocal arrangement. We'll just pay a fee and then become a member of ICAW.
Yes, that would make it a lot smooth. That would make it a lot smoother, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay.
I think that time is not far now.
Yes, hopefully. Yes, exactly. Although, well, I suppose it would. I hope it wouldn't do me out of a job. It would just make it easier, I suppose. So that's good. But okay, so I'm hoping I'm actually sharing. Perhaps if I could just have confirmation. Am I sharing the presentation or the notes and things? The presentation looks good, does it?
Yeah, it's fine. We can see.
Brilliant. Excellent. Okay, good stuff. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, as you've heard there, so my name is Doug Withington. So I would normally be based in the London office of ICAW, but obviously, given current situation, I've not been to the office in London since March, the beginning of March, and I think actually that's looking unlikely until probably March of next year. But I look after all things pathways related, no matter where those who are interested are positioned in the globe. So we'll just have a brief overview, if you like, of what we're going to cover this afternoon. So all of you will be aware of who ICAEW is, but I'll just sort of touch on that, a very brief introduction and a bit of scene setting. And then we will move on to the pathways element and actually try and understand who it is who's joining through this route, okay? And then importantly, why you might want to join. So of course, why you'd want to take the time to go through this process, and obviously part with your hard-earned money to pay some membership fees to ICAEW, okay, alongside your ICAP membership. And then we'll get into the last part of the sort of second half, if you like, of the presentation, which will be those practical steps which you need to do in order to embark on the pathways process. And of course, we don't just sort of leave you after today. If you're interested, then of course we have various support in place to be able to sort of guide you through it and hope you have a successful submission. So that's what we're going to look at. So if we just start with that brief introduction. So I said there about ICAEW's, if you like, headquarters, which are in the heart of the City of London. So that is the building there, and obviously that is a hub for not just the staff, but also for a lot of the members who like to utilise that space when they're in London or if they're based in London. And so a bit of history. We're obviously fairly steeped in history as an institute. So we were founded in 1880, and actually some of the founding fathers of ICAEW went on to become early presidents of ICAEW, and are some of those very familiar names we know now, such as Deloitte and others. Okay, so they were actually some of the early presidents. And we, of course, position ourselves as a world leader in the accountancy space. And we also, as our name is perhaps a bit misleading, the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales, that was the genesis, if you like, of the Institute. We've moved much further afield than that. And so we now have offices in several countries. So our main actual other office outside of the UK is in Dubai, but we have offices across the globe. And they're there primarily to support our members, of course, and students, but also be involved in business there, working with governments and others. And we have about 186,000 members and students, okay? And we are, unlike some of our global competitors, our business model, if you like, is quite different. That whilst our competitors have very large student bodies, okay, lots of students who never progress through their qualifications, ours is quite the opposite. That, it's certainly 99% of our students go on and actually become members of the Institute, okay? And of course, we have the training which has to be in place in order to support those students to become members. And we have about 6,000 employers who are authorized to do that training. And so if we think a little bit about the values, if you will, of the Institute, then we're about creating a world of strong economies, but actually we would add to that now and say strong and sustainable economies. We're one of the first professional bodies to go carbon neutral. And we do take pride in positioning ourselves as a leader in environmental matters and sustainability, and the role that accountants can play in that, but also increasing trust in the profession as well. And how we do this actually is not in a silo. We're very much about collaborating with other professional bodies, certainly, and ensuring that we work alongside those to address some of these wider issues. And of course, it won't surprise you to hear that if you look at the world's 100 global leading brands, don't ask me to name them all, but we have representation across all of those, okay? So those are those big names you can think of. And we have our members working within them. And if you look at the FTSE 100, so the leading companies in the UK stock exchange based on market capitalization, then 83 of those have an ICAEW chartered accountant on the board, okay, not just in CFO roles, but actually in wider and other leadership and C-suite roles, okay. So that enables us to have quite a lot of insight and influence, if you like, at the highest level. Now, if we just want to look at our presence, if you like, within the Middle East or the GCC, well, as I mentioned, we've got that office that has been there over a decade. So we're well established in Dubai and the wider region. We also have a representation with a permanent staff member based in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as well. Okay, so to look after the member interests and also our other relationships. So members are about 11 to 1,200 in the region, okay, and ever increasingly growing. So we also, that forms part of the Miasa region, if you like, where we have a decent number of members. And also students and those employers we talked about, again, a growing number based within the region. And we work with some really high profile organizations and governments. And as we said, also with the other professional bodies who are based there. So, you know, that I hope shows that when members are coming to us and who are based in the Middle East, that they have support and also a network there which they can tap into, which is very useful. And so if we just come back, if you like, to what today is about, it's about pathways. So what is that? Well, we're looking at this route into membership for ICAP members who have been members for at least 5 years. Okay, so that is the main eligibility criteria. Okay, so you've got to have probably been a member prior to about halfway through 2015. Okay, so you must have started been a full member prior to that. And if you are eligible like that, then you can certainly embark on this route. Okay. So who is joining through pathways? Now, I think a little later on and towards, I think if I understand it right, towards the back end of the presentation, we're going to engage with some members who are joint ICAW and ICAP members. So that'll be great. But as a sort of holistic view, if you like, of the sort of people who are joining, well, actually, the rule is that it's very much not a one size fits all. Okay, so we have people, the joy of pathways is that people are coming in from across the globe. Okay, so it's a very international route into membership. They're coming from a wide range of sectors. A lot of them work in industry. We have people who also work in practice. Okay, we've got people who work in the public sector and so on and so forth. If you can think of an industry, then we will have pathways members coming through that way. And because of that minimum 5 years membership of ICAP as the eligibility, we tend to see mid to senior level accounting and finance professionals who join through this route. And you note at the beginning that I said we had about 150,000 members. So we've got only about 800 coming in through pathways in the last 3 years. So it's not a large route in, but it is certainly an ever increasing and growing route into ICAW, okay? And so that's a really good thing. Now, we want to just see, as I said, touch on why you might want to join. So we're thinking here, aren't we, about member benefits, okay? What you might get out of your membership, okay? And so it's important we touch on that. Today's session is not a session dedicated to the benefits of ICAW membership. And I always say to people, if you're interested in pathways, it's really, you know, the onus is on you to try and go out there and, you know, understand what the benefits are and whether they're going to be relevant and useful to you. Okay. And I can certainly guide you in that further down the line, but you need to be satisfied it's a worthwhile thing to pursue. Now, there's no getting away from the fact that a lot of people join us as members through pathways because they actually just want to be a member of ICAW. You know, they want to get those designatory letters. They want to be able to add it to their CV, or they want to be a member of, as I say, this global institute. So that's very much a driver for some people. But we also have, you know, if you like, split up here into these 4 broad areas of other benefits or which you might get from us. So if we take these each in turn and briefly, then we're certainly about career support and development. So I said, didn't I, that we're supporting people when they embark on their journey at the beginning of their career as a student. We're trying to support them all the way through to membership. And then as they progress through their career, no matter where they're based. And that's through some very practical aspects, clearly. So support and advice and guidance through various channels. And it is also about a sort of wider, more broad-based support for people in their daily lives. Okay, so as I say, we've got that support for you in your career, whether you're in a small practice, an SME, or a large corporation. But actually, we also have it there for you and for members and their families. So we have CABA, which is our benevolent arm, if you like, benevolent association. And that is, as you would imagine, been increasingly busy during this coronavirus period, because that is about supporting members in other matters, whether it's their financial situation, whether it's their mental well-being, whether they've lost their job and they need some support or advice or whatever it is, then CABA is certainly positioned to do that very well. And they have their own dedicated website, which you can visit. And it goes without saying that, you know, whilst it's talked about a lot, we do have an area of the website, which is our coronavirus hub, which is now hopefully focusing more actually on the recovery coming out of that for businesses and those engaged in accounting and finance. So obviously it is qualified information, but with that aspect and angle of those working in accountancy. So that is obviously a place our members like to visit.
Just 1 minute, Doug. I don't know whether you're going to take the questions at the end, or should I ask the question now?
I think, should we
at the end? Yeah, let them complete the presentation, then we can ask. So if somebody want, they can. There is a question answer, you know, in there. They can write the question answer also there on the chat box. So we can read the question answer at the end. And so anybody interested, there is a question answer, you know, section in there on the right side. They can write the questions, and we can later on ask these questions.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, fine by me. Good stuff. Okay, so we move on to that second bubble of member benefits. So this is one actually people genuinely value and access. So you'll see two images. The one on the left is a representation of what we call our communities, and then the one on the right is our faculties. So these are two places where you can join, if you like. So we have the communities number just under 30. I think other than a couple of them, I think they're all free to join, okay? And they are actually where you would go and find your place within a community where you have some shared interests or shared passion or shared area you work in. And you can join those in order to share knowledge and information, and also networking and so on. So you might have to squint to kind of look at them, but if you see there's a number there, so we've got one for our young members, for example. We've got one for people who work in accounting and finance in the retail sector, okay, or manufacturing. And we have one for people who work in academia, and so on and so forth. And so you can access these communities, and those are found to be very useful by our members. On the other side of it, and the more technical side, if you like, we have the faculties, which number 8. Okay, and these you can join. There is a fee to join them, okay, but you join those and you are then into this faculty with people who work in a similar field to you. So you can see the image there is the corporate finance faculty, about 6,000 members globally, and those are all people who work in corporate finance. And of course, isn't this a great place to be able to go to network, again, to share knowledge and information, but also we employ people who work in these faculties, who are specialists in these areas, whether it's taxation or insurance or corporate finance, and they are going out there and getting the access to the latest information, okay, and they are then in a position to be able to share that with people who are members of those faculties. So that's actually something, again, people really value for their area that they work in terms of their career. And so actually moving on quite nicely, we have the member groups and networking. And actually you can see the image there that was an event in Dubai, which was put on by our corporate finance faculty. So again, not only do you get the information and so on, but also you are in a position to be able to network with similar professionals working in a similar area. And that's great for business and your career and so on. But the main thing, as I say, is about that network. So if you're moving country or you're based where you are and you become a member, then you can tap into that network through our office, if we have one there. Or if not, we have our contact members. Okay, so these are people who kindly, obviously, give up their time to be able to be the representative of ICAEW within that country. Okay. And so we obviously, those people are able to bring together the members in that region, or be, with the support of ICAEW, be in a position to be able to look after their interests. And so that's another reason people are quite keen to joining the member networks and the groups and so on, and the events which we have. So let's just touch on this last one very briefly, because I've alluded to it earlier. It's people join because of that global nature of ICAEW, and whether that is about you and your career and wanting to be part of that. But the reason we're able to do that is our position, obviously founding member of Chartered Accountants Worldwide. Our chief executive, Michael Itzer, is the only chartered accountant who goes to Davos each year. We have close and working relationships with governments across the globe, other accountancy bodies such as ICAP, and of course, think tanks, businesses, and so on and so forth. So that in itself works both ways, doesn't it? So that gives us our insight into to those things, but also we can share that with our members and make them feel part of that global network. And so I put in this last slide because we get quite a lot of questions, actually, this last slide in this section about, you know, job prospects. And whilst we can never say that ICAEW, you know, and I get these emails so that we can't obviously get people jobs or do that kind of thing, but people are just quite interested to learn that, you know, if you join ICAEW, what access does it give you? And it certainly gives you access to our jobs portal. So we have a number of advertised roles in the UK and in other places, which you can only access and apply to if you're a member. But also, you know, if you think about the UK, for example, as we move through the torturous process of Brexit, that actually afterwards, when the immigration rules are changing, it will become no longer does UK firms and companies have to look to the EU as a priority to gain their workforce, but now there's a more level playing field in terms of people from all over the globe being able to apply for jobs in the UK and come to the UK. It will be done on a points-based system, I think probably similar to Australia. And so as a chartered accountant, if you've secured a job in the UK, and of course you have proficiency in English, then you should well positioned to be able to come and get that job. But also, as we know, people in the Gulf have ICAEW membership, and they will hear a little bit later on about perhaps the value they see in that. So if we now motor on through and be able to look at the actual practical steps of pathways. Now, I just sort of start by saying that we're just going to give a top line view, if you like, and I would encourage anyone who's got some interest in this that they can reach out to me and we can talk about it in more depth. But what is it you need to do in order to be able to join through Pathways? Well, if you like, on the left-hand side there, you can see the requirements. So we're thinking there about those 5 years of membership. We've talked about that. You must be CPD or CPE up to date with ICAP, with your home body, okay? And if you feel you aren't, you should contact them, okay? That's something you need to investigate with them. You must have come into ICAP through the normal education and training route, as I would expect most people have. And of course, you must have a good disciplinary record, it goes without saying. And so if you meet those requirements, then you can start to think about what are the actual steps which you need to do to make a submission. And because we just have 2 submission windows a year for Pathways, it means that when you've completed these 3 steps, when the window opens, which is mid-December, and it closes in mid-February, that is when you're going to actually upload your submission and make your application, okay? So what are those 3 things? So we'll look at them in a little more detail in a second, but essentially it is getting a letter of good standing from ICAP, okay? You must gain that. You must gain the support of a sponsor, okay? So that is someone who's going to sponsor your application, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then the bulk of the application, and the thing people get a bit concerned about and worried, is the examination of experience, okay? So we take those all in turn, those 3 steps you've got to do. And the first of those, as I said, is the letter of good standing from your home body. So this is quite straightforward. This is essentially an administrative task you need to do. You need to approach ICAP, and the chapter will be able to help you with this. And they will point you to where in ICAP you will get the letter of good standing. And if you think about it, all that is saying is essentially that you're a member, how long you've been a member, that you're in good standing, and probably that your CPD is up to date. And this is in essence a template. They produce these for people obviously year on year who are looking to do Pathways. So there should be no complications. And when you receive that letter back from ICAP, you can sort of PDF it and file it away in your Pathways application folder, and you can tick that part off. Now, the sponsor support. So if we think about firstly, who can be a sponsor, and then we'll talk about what they need to do. So who can be a sponsor? Well, a sponsor must be a professionally qualified accountant who is a member of an IFAC member body. So of course, what we tend to see is that if you're an ICAP member, your sponsor is also going to be an ICAP member, because that's often the way it works, doesn't it? You're working with ICAP members and so on. Or it could be an ACCA, okay? It could be, and it would be good for one reason I'll explain in a minute, but it could be an ICAEW member, okay? So once you've found that professionally qualified accountant who must know you in some professional capacity, okay, then we can look at what the sponsor needs to do. So you've approached them. Will you be my sponsor for Pathways? Yes, I'd be happy to. Right, now as the sponsor, you must also go and get a letter of good standing from your home professional body. So if you're the applicant as an ICAP member, you've gone to ICAP to get your letter of good standing. Your sponsor might be an ICAP member as well. They must also go to ICAP and get the letter of good standing. Okay. The second thing they must do is complete a very short form, which is on our website. It's always there. And in that form, they will in essence say that they know you, they've read your application, and they're happy to sign their name to it. Okay. And it's as straightforward as that for the sponsor. Now, we only say about if they're an ICAEW member, your sponsor, because they don't need to get the letter of good standing. And the reason for that is, of course, that we do our own internal checks on them and we can see that they're a member in good standing. Okay, so that's the sponsor. So again, I view that as an administrative point, which you can get done as well. Which brings us obviously to the main bulk of the submission. Okay, what do you need to do? And it is called the examination of experience. Now, it's slightly misleading because actually it's not an invigilated exam. Okay, you're not going to an exam hall for 3 hours and answering questions about different types of costing or whatever it is. Okay, you are actually undertaking this examination of experience in your own time, in the comfort of your own home. Okay, and you're going to be answering 5 questions, which are always on our website. They're not a secret or anything. Okay, they're always there. And you're going to answer those in the comfort of your own home. And you're going to answer them using examples from your last 5 years of work. Okay, and no earlier than that. So you'll look back on the last 5 years of your career and you'll be picking out examples which satisfy and address the skills and attributes which we're seeking in the questions. And so we know, because you're a member of ICAP, a highly regarded professional body, that we're not looking for those technical. We know you've done that in your professional qualification, your working life. We're looking here to learn about skills and attributes, okay? And that is what this is all about. And so, as I say, it's those 5 questions. It is questions which are seeking evidence on a range of those skills and attributes. So from analysis, okay, to giving advice, to displaying professional judgment. And it's non-invigilated, as I've said. So you can keep, over the next 6 weeks, you could be writing your answers, rehashing them, improving them. Okay, your sponsor could look over them and say, yeah, I don't think that quite makes sense. You need to explain that better, so that you can be in a position when you submit your application through our website that they're really well honed and refined, those answers. And we've said, haven't we, there, that overly technical answers are not likely to be highly rewarded. Okay, so the total word count for the whole examination of experience is about 4,500 words. And that sounds a little bit daunting, I appreciate, but I'll explain in a minute briefly how we break that down and make it more manageable. Now, you might want to glance at the questions. We have support further down the line to look at these in much more depth, and I'll come to that shortly as well. But just so you can see what they're about. So a series of questions demonstrating your experience in the last 5 years. So one is about how you've identified business or professional issues. 2 is about how you've used your technical expertise to analyze, okay, so to perform analysis. Okay, the 3rd one is about how you use your professional judgment, okay, in choosing between options, okay, and so on. And 4 is about where you've used your technical knowledge to give advice. 5 is the ethics question. Okay, it's about, it's about ethics and how you've dealt with an ethical situation, a sneeze that didn't arrive. Okay, so moving on. So if we want to actually think about how those are marked, people always want to know, and I think I've spotted a question coming about the marking and the pass mark. Okay, so good. It was a premonition there that this slide would be coming next, but we have it here laid out, don't we? So how the questions. So I said there are those 5 questions, but actually that's not quite the whole story, because questions 1 to 4 form 2 parts. Okay, so you've got 1.1 and 1.2, and that forms question 1. And then you have that for 2, 3, and 4. And then question 5 is just one standalone answer. And so actually for the eagle-eyed of you that spotted that it was about 4,500 words, if you'll notice there, we have exactly 9, answers which you've got to give. Okay. And so we advise each of those is about 500 words in length. So we arrive at the 4,500 words approximately. Okay. So if you think of question 1, for 1.1, you're answering with 500 words, and for 1.2, it's 500 words. Total for question 1, 1,000. For 2, 3, and 4, and then, as I said, 500 words for question 5. So tossing all those up, we come to 90 marks, okay? And we have this other 10 marks available for good presentation, good use of business English, okay? We have it for using examples across your 5 years. And we arrive at 100, okay? So the pass mark, it's slightly nuanced, okay? Because if you score 55 to 59, then you pass, but you can only have got 1 question wrong, okay? If you score 60 or above, you can have as many wrong as you like. That's a strange expression, but you know what I mean. You can, it doesn't matter how you get to the 60 marks, okay? So that's the marking there. So we'll talk in a moment about what happens if you don't pass, okay? The question was more about that, so we'll come to that in a second. So we just got a few more slides now, and then we'll come to the questions, okay? So last part of the presentation, next steps and support. So we don't just leave you today if you're interested, okay? We actually are going to support you through the process, and I'll be the main port of call for that, okay? So this rather helpful timeline. So if you're on the left-hand side now, okay, today, so you're here at this session, and perhaps you've been on our website to explore some of the information. We said, didn't we, go and find that sponsor. That's something you've got to get on with, okay? And then also get your letter of good standing from ICAP. Check if you need a practicing certificate. Now that means if you have clients in the UK or the European Economic Area, or you work in the UK or the European Economic Area, and you work in practice, then you will need a practicing certificate from us, but that is something you can just get on membership, so that's fine. And then you need to get going on your examination of experience, okay? So you need to start answering those questions, because it's a bit of a process, isn't it, to get through that 4,500 words. And then I said, didn't I, the window opens on the 17th of December, closes on the 18th of February. And it is between that time that you are going to submit and upload all these documents in one go: letter of good standing, sponsors documents, examination of experience, and you upload them through our website, okay? And that's you submitted. And then because we're a professional institute and things move slowly, but also because we have to mark all the scripts, we don't release the results until the 6th of May, but you can then be invited to membership almost immediately after that, okay? So that is the timeline, okay? So next steps after today. Well, there's a number here, but I'll just rattle through them. You've got to go on the website, haven't you? And it ties in with the second point as well. And look at the resources which we make available. We've got sample scripts of successful answers. We've got examiner's guidance document where the examiners tell you and give you hints and tips about answering the questions. You should reach out to me over email, and I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, you should attend, you've attended today, so that's brilliant. And then there is another workshop which you can also attend. And then you need to register as a candidate on our website, but I can run you through that if you're interested. And then you're going to apply online, as I said. But importantly, where we talk about contacting me and workshops, I have what we call examination of experience support sessions. So this didn't exist until I arrived at ICAEW about a year ago. And this is where I actually host these sessions on Zoom, similar to this. They're about just over an hour. And we run through all those questions in the examination of experience. And we walk through some sample scripts and some failing scripts. And we see where the people have gone well and where they've not done so well, and how the examiners have marked them, and what it is the examiners are seeking in a successful answer. And so we look at all that, and then we also look at some sort of hints and tips, if you like, for having a successful submission. And so that is a must if you're serious about pathways, because we have data to show that if you attend one of these sessions, you stand a much higher chance of having a successful submission. And I put that in there because we do actually have a session coming up on the 19th. So that's Thursday, I believe, 2:30 GMT. So plus 4 hours, I understand. So 6:30 in the Gulf. And you join that if you're keen on pathways by just emailing me. Okay, so reaching out to me over email. If you can't make that session, don't fear. We have other ones which we run on a weekly basis. So they're really, really worthwhile. Okay, so moving on and to the last slide of this presentation before we go to questions and so on. Now, we want to, and someone asked, what happens if you're not successful? Or indeed, if you are successful, what's the process? Well, actually on the 6th of May, when we release the results, we do that via email. So you'll get an email and it'll say one of two ways clearly. You're either successful and you've passed and you'll be invited to join as a member. And you should do that hopefully fairly soon afterwards. If you're unsuccessful, you will of course receive that email saying that, unfortunately, and you will get some feedback on the questions you failed from the examiners. And you will be invited, if you'd like, to resubmit at the next session. Okay, so what's the good thing, if you like, about the resubmission is that you're only going to resubmit questions you failed. So if you passed questions 1 and 2 and failed 3, 4, and 5, then 1 and 2 get parked and the marks remain in place. And you only have to resubmit 3, 4, and 5. And you're trying to work with the feedback you've got. You can sit on one of my sessions, for example, and you're trying to get a successful submission second time round, okay? But the other thing to say is that you can submit up to 3 more times. You can have 4 total attempts. This happens very, very infrequently. Because of that very reason, you're only resubmitting failed questions each time. And also, about 65% of people pass first time, okay? But if you then resubmit if you failed, then you stand about an 85 to 90% chance of being successful either first or second time, okay? So that's how it tends to go in that regard in terms of numbers of people passing. Okay, so I have come to the end of the presentation. Okay, we've made pretty good time, I think, so that's brilliant. And I'm going to hand back to Arshad or Asif, and we shall hopefully address some of the questions and possibly speak to a couple of Pathways members. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. I receive a question. Somebody, Anam, she writes that I have been on a career break for 4 years. I cannot apply for Pathways scheme. I have answered. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have answered her that if she have a post qualification experience of 5 years or more, she can apply for the scheme.
Yes, so what I'd say with those situations, certainly reach out to me because they're all different, aren't they? They're sort of people have different scenarios, but we do allow career breaks. Okay, so we're understanding of that, of course. So I would say, yeah, reach out to me and we can discuss your options. Yeah.
Okay, somebody have written that I have applied for ICAW earlier through other stream. If ICAP earlier in 2010 or 2011, it was required to appear 3 papers. However, I didn't appear for any of them. How pathway scheme works for me? My case was similar on that one, that you have to contact ICAW, and then the previous one scheme they will cancel your name and they will re-register you for the new scheme. No, please can you put light on that one?
Yeah, certainly. So you're right. So if you have done perhaps some of our exams in the past and you haven't gone all the way through them, then that's not an issue because you can transfer across to Pathways so long as you satisfy the requirements of Pathways. And lots of people do that actually. They've done the exams and for whatever reason it's taken too long or it's not worked out, they've been too busy. And so they then transfer to Pathways when they have 5 years membership of their home body. Okay.
Okay, somebody have written, Usman Sayed, direct to you, how the sponsor be identified for the application if the ICAP member required ICAW membership through Pathways or will be designated as ICAP member?
So does it need to be, sorry, just a bit of clarity on that one. How do they find?
He said that how the sponsor be identified for the application if the ICAP members acquired ICAW membership through Pathway or he will be designated as an ICAP member. Yes. I would like to answer that one, that I am ICAW member and I'm sponsoring ICAP members. ICAP members can also sponsor or ICAW. The difference is that one, if ICAW member is sponsoring, they don't need a letter of good standing certificate to be a sponsor, but any other body except for ICAW, if the person is sponsoring you, he must to get a good standing certificate from their relevant institute. Can you add on something you want to add on?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, of course, and that's true that if you find an ICAW member, they can be an ICAW member through pathways. That's absolutely fine. And as you rightly say, it just means that you don't need to get the letter of good standing. So it just makes it a little bit easier. Yeah. Yeah.
I think there is question here. If you already took ICAW advanced stage exam and dropped pursuing them long back, can you still apply through the pathway? I think already we have answered these questions, that you can apply, contact directly ICAW. They will change your status and then you can apply for the this pathway scheme for membership. Anybody else have any questions? They can raise their hand or they can type. They can ask the questions.
There's one more question, Asif, sitting in the chat box from Shakil Ahmed. Do you want to read that out?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Arshad, please.
So as the presenter mentioned that ICAW is a member of WEF, the WEF has been highlighting the decreasing demand of accountants and auditors' role. What motivates ICAW to expand their member base through Pathways scheme?
Okay. So that's a challenging one, isn't it? So well, I mean, the decreasing demand, is that, does the person mean due to automation or something like that, or technology, or that if they'd like to elaborate perhaps on that. So what motivates ICAW to expand their member base through pathways? Well, it's not just really motivation of ICAW, I wouldn't say, to do that. Whilst we're promoting this route and obviously offering it out there and working with other professional bodies, we like to view it as a sort of two-way street, if you like, so that people coming in through pathways are also deriving benefits. So I wouldn't say particularly with the numbers as well that we're sort of actively going out there and trying to kind of conquer the world. But I think we're working on a two-way role with that. And on that point about the WEF, as I say, it's better to be at the table, isn't it? That ICAW is sat at the table, being involved in these decisions and having these conversations with people in order to provide some influence on what's going on there. So I think people would, if you want to elaborate further, we can carry on that conversation. I don't know if any of the panel members would like to elaborate.
Looking at that one, this demands and supply is some global scenario in which that, the demands increases and decreases. And I foresee is that this ICAW is currently capturing the global market. It's undoubtedly the top, if you see in this, arena. I personally, many of us can be, contradict and deny that one, that ICAW is still have an upper edge as compared to the other qualifications. The reason is that one is history, that it has been, been in inception long before, as you have mentioned, 1880. And ICAP, if you count, we just started in 1960, something like that. We have around 11,000 maximum members. ICAW around, I think, is 180 around. I guess that one. So it's challenging task, and it's depend on the person to person whether he foresee that the benefits on that one. You can have compare, like if somebody, as you have already mentioned, want to move to EU or they want to work in UK or something like that. So they prefer to have this second qualification, and that is the best way and the easiest way to go through the pathways.
Asif, can I add something?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please.
Professor.
So yes, and building on what Doug has said and what Asif is saying, I think there is another element to it, because the thing is with the standardization of accounting standards and practices, with the advent of these corporate governance and a lot of regulatory frameworks, I think there is a lot of commonality between the institutes, fine, and there are lot of governance which is applied across the globe. So like for banking sectors and all, if you see that, a lot of regulations they need to follow is not really specific to the region or a country anymore. It's a very global thing now. So I think it's an opportunity for all institutes to join hand and bring, add value to by networking, add value to their members by networking and growing the base. And, this gives opportunity to the members and gives strength to the profession. So this is what I think. I think it's not really an adventure into other territories. I think it's more aligned with the, joining the forces and bringing back, more united front of the accountants again, to tackle some of the very challenging questions posed by the regulator across the globe. So this is what I think from why we are seeing these and a lot of these programs are there now for the institutes. So this is my 2 pennies on this.
Thank you very much. I will move to one more question. Which universities are affiliated with ICAW for master programs?
Yeah, okay, so I spotted that one. So I would say that that's implying obviously someone who's perhaps not pathways eligible, but is perhaps earlier on in their career, or they can't come through this route. So if you want to reach out to me personally on that, we can address that. It's not my sort of area, if you like, but I can pass them on to a colleague and we can help them out. There's no issues there.
Okay, there is a last question there. Being an ICAW member through pathways, is it recognized for CPA equivalency? Normally, you get equivalency subject by subject, and using the pathway routes, how will this work?
Yeah, so one thing I should have said actually, which is we do get questions on, is that because actually if you come in through pathways to ICAW, you've not actually done our exams and training. So the only thing about pathways, which probably could be seen as a hindrance, if you like, is that whilst if an ICAW member through pathways gave me their business card and one through exams and training gave me their business card, there would be no difference. The only thing is the one who came in through pathways cannot use their ICAW membership to gain a reciprocal membership, for example, with CPA Canada, okay? Because you've come into ICAW, if you like, through a reciprocal arrangement. So it is a bit difficult in that regard, yeah.
Thank you very much. And I will proceed to some of our ICAP members who have gone through the pathways and listen to their experience. Doc, can you stop sharing the screen, please?
Sorry, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, fine. Yeah. Thanks a lot, and thank you very much. And now I will request first, Faisal Bashir. He's the Director of Corporate Accounts in Dubai Airports, and in the ICAW member and ICAP member. I will request him to share his experience about the ICAW pathways. Mr. Faisal, please.
Thank you, Asif. Yes, so I did this a couple of years back. I didn't get the privilege of attending, these seminars from, ICAW, which I really applaud that you guys have started this, and I think it will add a lot of value to the people coming through pathways. But we did it internally with consultation, and I will share some things which I missed, and I think that the new members should give a lot of value to. So first thing is the material which is available on ICAW website. It's it's very, very elaborate. It's very good, and it helps a lot. So I encourage you to go there and read the different scenarios also, and try to create a parallel with what your experience is, because they have, I think, 4 or 5 or 6 scenarios available there. And then read through the guidance which is provided. That is absolutely essential, and this is very, very helpful. If you spend more time on this, so I would suggest that if you spend like a day on this, understanding it, rest all will be a lot easier for you to go through. So this is what I think. As an experience, I found it very interesting, because the thing is, we do things on a day-to-day basis, but we don't get to write about these things, right? So you have a lot of experiences which you go through every single day. Challenges are posed to the organization, they're thrown at you. You respond to those, but you don't get the chance to reflect. So it was very self-motivating when I was writing about it, when I was going through these questions and identifying, yeah, this is what I did. So that's really helpful also. Apart from that, I think uh, if anybody needs any specific help on this, I'm available. You can contact me. I think Asif, if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thanks a lot, Faisal, and thank you very much. And Adolf, you want to add something?
I think that's really, useful. And I think you're right on the resources. And also I noted what you said, which I've heard from a couple of other people, which is good to hear. Is that actually that sort of process of reflection, isn't it? That it gives you the opportunity to kind of stop and look back over your last 5 years of your career and kind of really see some of those achievements and milestones. And people find that strangely quite satisfying, I think. So.
Thank you very much. And I will request Ms. Sadia. She's the CFO of IBM KSA, Saudi Arabia. And she's a chartered accountant from England and Wales now, from ICAP and UAE chartered accountant also. Ms. Sadia, can you share your experience about the
Yes, sure. Sure. I think I just totally echo what Faisal has just said. This pathways is the most concise way of presenting or demonstrating whatever you have done. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I heard somebody speaking. So, okay. So yeah, I mean, it's the most concise way of demonstrating your work of experiences across your last 5 years. At the same time, it's a self-assessment, as Faisal has said. So when you go through last 5 years and you see whatever you have been doing in those last 5 years, the experiences you have gained, and that it's been kind of attested by a body, you get that kind of self-confidence in yourself. You go and you present that confidence in front of other people, your directors, other people who are of a same C-suite level. So again, what I gained is I was able to figure out my strengths through going back to my 5 years retrospective. And at the same time, I was able to understand where I could have done better in terms of doing that specific process or providing some kind of professional judgment. So I think it's a very good opportunity for the members, not only to gain the professional certification, which of course is important, but also to retrospective see their experience, which area are their strengths, to figure out where they are strong, and then maybe they can get their future focused on their strengths. So thank you, Asif Bhai, for the opportunity, and I'm really grateful to speak. Yes, and again, if somebody wants to reach out to me, any kind of help, I would be very much happy to support.
Thank you very much. I will request the last person to share his experience, and Evergreen, Mr. Salman Sajid. He's the Executive Director at Baker Tilly, and Mr. Salman, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Doc, for the session. In fact, it is very, detailed and answering most of the requirements. First, I would say that you should have something special for Asif Zaman, who is having the torch bearer for ICAW in the region. In fact, he has started the program and arranging the lectures and classes for all those things. So that is there. I've basically started after 13 years of my ICAP membership. I think Asif arranged the seminar, and ICAW, Samantha Starbuck, she was invited and she explained the rationale and all those things. So first of all, I think ICAP is being a regional qualification or from the Pakistan. It's you don't find any problem in the GCC working with the ICAP qualification, but obviously ICAEW being the oldest and the largest organization in the world, it has its own prestige and all those things. It appears a bit simpler at the start that, okay, you just have to answer 9 questions and you get your membership, but it challenges you. It seems very simple, like say they are asking you to identify the issue, then to highlight the matters and then suggest the outcome or the suggested course of action. But basically what it does, it challenges your mindset, how you are working it out. Or sometimes when we go to the industry, we basically mold ourselves to the requirement and we don't go back to the basics or go back to the somewhere rational analysis of certain things. Or sometime we rely too much on our experience or biases also, whereas this exam basically runs you through a process which basically help you to first identify what is the issue, how there can be various outcome, and what should be your ultimately suggested course of action, and what steps and processes you have to do that. Again, I would say it's a privilege to be ICAW member. I think we're arranging quite a bit seminars for the members and for the last 1.5 year. And that's very good. And I would like to thank, I think, especially Asif Zaman, being, the flag bearer for ICAW in the GCC and Pakistan, I would say.
Thank you very much. First of all, Doug, I pronounced your name wrong, and I think Arshad identified correctly. I'm sorry about that one. So I apologize for that one. And I thank Salman, Sadia, and Faisal for their, sharing for their experience that have. And I think in 2018, I passed these pathways, and after that I thought that why not share with the other our ICAP members especially. And because in the start, now as Faisal has mentioned, now it's become very common that we have webinars and other things are like that, and we are educating our fellow members to how to appear in the exams and what are the questions, where you can find the resources. Back in 2018, these things were not available in 2018, and then Samantha did very much efforts, and Michael Armstrong, they did excellent marketing of ICAW. You can say that the pathways in especially in Middle East, in UAE, these parts. And then my brothers like Arshad, he's already supported me on these things, and then our message spread through to Bahrain, to KSA, our members, and everything like that. And I'm thankful to you and this ICAP member, and especially that I foresee, we, the overseas chapter in ICAP, like Arshad and Yasir and this KSA chapter and this Qatar, we all see that we see mutual benefit, that there's educations, and this qualification doesn't have any boundaries. And when we have something which is very easier to attain, that you already mentioned, that only we have to answer 5 answers, which is, I think, is the easiest way, that you just have to share your experience, nothing else. And then you are awarding this qualification. I foresee is nothing, just you have to share your experience, what you have done, a specific question, and then for these answering these questions, we have 4 attempts is more than enough. So in the last, I would like words of thanks from Arshad. Back to you, Arshad.
Thank you, Asif and Doug. You have been fantastic. The way you have summarized it is just very clear. And I think you've been opening up the channels of discussions with you, which will definitely help. And Asif and others have already sort of highlighted the importance of us working together. Anything which you want to do specifically in Bahrain or any other chapter, deep dives on any particular area, those sessions have been sort of noted, what you've already highlighted. We trying to collectively work all the overseas chapters now more so than before, trying to coordinate all the efforts in under one umbrella. So if you want to pass through any messages through the network, we are connected via WhatsApp. We are working on our own software. We are just getting the entire network of members more connected. So any of these messaging like from ICAW can be passed down the channel very fast. These seminars can be organized on a very short notice. You guys are based out of Dubai, and I know Samantha and yourself have been very, very approachable. I'm sure this would continue like that going forward. I had one question though, before we close the session, that Kaaba you mentioned, and I was just wondering, that is an external party you've engaged, or that is a part of ICAW? Because that's where quite a lot of people do ask what else the institutions like ICAW and ICAP and otherwise provide to the members. So if you can just give a little bit more highlight on Kaaba, that would be helpful for me in particular.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, thanks very much. So on the Kaaba point, so that is the, if you like, the benevolent association, which falls under the umbrella of ICAW. So the nice thing is that we haven't actually gone out and just engaged with someone who we have no relationship with. So it's very much born out of ICAW and the what would have taken other guises in the past, if you like, in terms of supporting our members throughout their careers and in their life. So no, so that's, you know, we're very closely aligned to them, you know, and they're sort of part of the family, if you like. So yeah, there's a huge range on the website, and as I say, the utilization of that has gone up drastically during COVID. So yeah, by all means, go and explore. And if anyone has any questions, I can find out more.
Great. Then, Asif, sorry. Please, you can.
Yes, Asif, yeah, please.
No, I was just saying that, Doug, you want to say any final
add
words?
Something before that.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say that as well. Please. Doug, do you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah, I'll just, that's very kind. I'll just finish up by saying, obviously, thanks to everyone. Thanks very much for, particularly to the three members who obviously came. So Faisal, Sadia and Salman, who shared some of those bits of advice and experience. That was really, really helpful. And hopefully we can engage further down the line as well. And, you know, thanks, of course, Asif, and to yourself, Arshad, and Yasser as well for inviting me. And I echo those sentiments. Let's continue working together and keep those communication channels open.
Great.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank to you and all the people, and especially our OCC chapter, this Overseas Coordination Committee. Our chairman is Mr. Ashfaq Tola, and he's the one who authorized us and all the chapters to, you know, go through all these webinars. And I personally, you know, I think that it's a very good opportunity for ICAP members to avail this ICAW pathways through pathways. I have helped out around 20 plus members for the last 1.5 years to get these memberships. And I'm a firm believer that ICAW pathway memberships is very easy to attain, and it has too many beneficials. And I would thanks to Arshad, Yasser, Salman, Faisal, Sadia, and all the other people who participated in this event. And thanks very much. And if you have any questions, you can email to ICAW, or if we cannot answer, most probably we can answer ourselves. We have gone through these sessions, and hopefully we will have other sessions now. Arshad bhai.
Sergi, we will close now. And thank you very much, sir. Thanks for signing in. I think we close.